Yes, so we will start. In our next lecture, we had discussed the need for governance, then the 5 principles of corporate governance. We had also discussed the basic difference which is between board of directors and management, the actual management of the organization. So that is corporate governance and corporate management. That differentiation we had discussed in our next lecture. Then we had also discussed the some of the case studies, the case related to Satyam Computer System and the case of Harshad Mehta. Plus, we had discussed the disclosure norms, how the disclosure is to be included in the annual report by the organization. And we had in last discussed the rights of the corporation. So that we had discussed in our next lecture. Today we will start. Before we move on to last time we had discussed or we had decided that we will be discussing the various committees which were formed by government of India and the governments of other countries to suggest recommendations for good governance. So before moving on to that, one topic we will take up, and that is called as elements of good corporate government. Sorry, good corporate governance. So what should be included, which can be called as a good corporate governance policy? So certain guidelines have been published in the code of governance, corporate governance, that elements, if are present in an organization policy, then we can say that the organization is moving towards good corporate governance. So we will take up the elements one by one. First is called as rule of law. So rule of law is simple and very easily understood, that whatever the rule says is accepted and implemented by the organization in its policies as well as in its working. So law which is made under, say, Companies Act, if an organization is working in India, the organization has to follow the rules and regulations which are prescribed, which are mentioned in companies law. So companies law has to be followed by the company which is working in India. Not only that law, but also the rules which are prepared by the organization for its smooth functioning. Suppose the organization has a rule that of how to make promotions or how to make transfer in the organization, or in which condition a person will be tried for insubordination, or a show cause notice will be issued against a person. So these are some of the rules which can be formulated by the organization for its smooth working. When we talk about rule of law, we should ensure that all these rules which are made by the organization for its smooth functioning should be followed by the organization in letter and in spirit. That means whatever is prescribed in writing by the organization in the form of a policy, in the form of a rule, is to be is to be followed 100% by the organization related to that particular rule. So that is called as rule of law. That is one of the element of good corporate governance. The other element says is transparency. So clear transparency should be there in the working of the organization. For example, the communication. So whatever the financial position of the company is to be communicated to each and every stakeholder, and the information should be presented in such a manner that the stakeholders are able to understand the information. Otherwise, if the information is available, but information is presented in such a manner which is very difficult to be understood for a common layman, then we cannot say that this information can be called as a transparency policy of the organization. So communication should be free in the organization, as well as the information is to be presented in such a manner which is easily understood, we can say simplified manner. So that is called as transparency. Next element is called as responsiveness. Responsiveness means it requires that organization and its processes are so designed that they serve the best interest of all the stakeholders within a reasonable time frame. So that is responsiveness. Next good element of corporate governance is consensus oriented. So consensus means common decision. So all the decisions which are taken at the highest level or at the lowest level. So the decision, it is said that the decision should be based on consensus, that most of the people who are part of that decision making body should agree to that particular decision. So that is one of the element of corporate governance. Next one is equity and inclusiveness. Equity here means equality, and inclusiveness means that each and every person should be given a fair chance to be part of that particular organization. So equal and fair chance should be given to the people in the organization, irrespective of their gender, irrespective of their color, irrespective of their caste, irrespective of their religion. So that is called as equity and equal inclusiveness. Now, next one is called as accountability. Now, this is very important. Accountability. Now, accountability is bit difference from responsibility. So, accountability, we can say that accountability can be said that one when a person knows about his task, he also knows how to carry out that task. But because of some, say, personal interest, or because of his carelessness, if anything is law, he leads the company to the loss, then that person should be held accountable, not responsible, but that person should be held accountable for that particular activity. So accountability is when a person is aware that whatever my task is, I'm aware of that task, I know my task very well, and this task, if not followed properly, that will make the company loss. And still, because of some personal interest or because of his carelessness, if he leads the company, or if he is unable to carry out his task effectively, then the person should be held accountable for that particular activity. So that is called as accountability. And the last one is participation. So participation, we are talking about participation of all the employees of the organization. So in decision making also, there has to be participation of all the board of directors. It should not happen that only one board of director is taking all the decisions and rest are just giving their say passive signatures on that particular decision. That should not happen. Similarly, in when we talk about the actual management of the organization also, here also the people who are working in the organization should actually participate not only in the decision making but also in implementing those decisions 100% for the benefit of the organization. Now that was related to the elements of good governance. Now, why good governance is necessary? Is there any necessity that there has to be a good corporate governance? So the answer is yes, there has to be a good corporate governance, and it has many benefits. Some of the benefit which we will be now taking up. If the company is having good corporate governance policies, automatically what happens is the image of the company gets reflected through his corporate governance policies. We get a image that this particular company is a good company. For example, if we talk about, say, Wipro, if we talk about Infosys, if we talk about, say, Tata Group, so most of us have a very positive image about these companies. Now, how we have positive image about these companies? Because through media, or through say paper media, print media, magazines, articles, or on YouTube, or in on TV news, we have seen many times that these are the company which now and then come up with various beneficial schemes, not only for their employees, not only for their stakeholders, but they are the companies which are doing some social work for the benefit of the entire society also. So that creates a good image about the company. Now, good corporate, that is called as good corporate governance. Now, next thing is that it also attracts investors. Now, how investor get attracted towards a company? They also get attracted towards the company when they come to know through various types of media that this company is doing well, this is doing this is doing that, and everything which is the company is doing it in a prescribed manner, or we can say is doing in a right manner. So that attracts investors towards the company, both local investors as well as the foreign investors, because this good image of corporate governance of that particular company assures the investor about their investments. They feel that their investments will be secure if are made in that particular company, as the company is efficiently managed and the company has transparent and accountable processes. So that is one thing. Next is, if good corporate governance is there, then it creates competitive and efficient companies and business enterprises. It also enhances the accountability and performance of those entrusted to manage the corporations. Everything is transparent in the organization, right from top to the bottom. So what will happen? The board of directors will be doing their job perfectly well, as well as the corporate management. That means the person who is managing the entire operations of the organization, plus the other managers and other staff, will also be working in a ethical manner, or we can say in a right direction. So these are some of the benefits of good corporate governance. Now we will move on to the various committees which have been constituted by various governments to suggest the government that how corporate governance can be improved in that particular country. So first we will take up the first corporate governance report that was constituted by the government of USA, and a committee which was constituted was called as Cadbury Committee. Adrian Cadbury was the person who was entrusted this responsibility to come up with some suggestions which can be recommended in by the government to the business enterprises that these are the recommendations which are to be implemented in your governance policy, and that will make the governance, corporate governance, good for that particular company. So Adrian Cadbury was the person who was entrusted with this responsibility. So he came up with certain suggestions. He studied the policy of US business enterprises. He also studied the practices which were incorporated in various organizations which were working in European countries and other countries. So after studying all these practices related to corporate governance, how to improve corporate governance, he gave certain suggestions. Now, these suggestions, which were suggested by Adrian Cadbury, are included in his Cadbury report. Now, these suggestions were called as Code of Best Practices. Later on, all the countries took guidelines in framing rules for corporate governance for their particular country from this particular report. So we can say that this is the first and the pioneering report related to corporate governance. So code of best practices he suggested. He also recommended the guidelines relating to board of directors, non-executive directors, executive directors, and those who are on reporting and control of the organization. We will just take a look of what his suggestions were. The first suggestion which was given by Cadbury was, he said that the effectiveness of a board is observed by its regular meeting, full control over the company, and check over the executive management. The first recommendation was very simple. He said that the board should work in an effective manner. It should have regular meeting, and it should be observed that the board is having a total control over the company, and it is checking the total policies, management of the that particular company in a, say, correct manner. Second thing what he suggested is that the chairman of the board of directors should be a strong person. Strong in the sense that he should be strong by knowledge, he should be strong by experience. So he should not be a yes man. It should not happen when, suppose, when a person has less knowledge about a particular thing. Suppose the company is operating in a IT sector, and the person who is chairing the meeting of board of directors or chairman of that particular board has less knowledge about IT industry. Then what will happen? The other directors, whatever suggestion they will come up, he will have only option to say yes, because he doesn't know what is right and wrong in that particular decision, because he is not fully aware of that particular industry. He has that lack of knowledge about that particular industry. So what he said is that chairman should be strong knowledge wise and experience wise. He should not be a yes man. He should have enough knowledge to question the decisions or suggestions of the other board members. And the board should have responsibilities clearly divided among its members. So clear division of responsibilities should be there. Then the next suggestion which he came up was that there has to be some non-executive directors also, and they should act as eyes and ears of the board. Now, non-executive directors, what he said were that those directors who were not financially involved in the operation of the company, who were not having shares with them of the company, but they should be included in the board only because of their knowledge and experience about the particular field in which the company is operating. Now, these non-executive directors should give their suggestions clearly to the board because they are included in the board as experts. Next suggestion was that if very important suggestion which he gave is that if the director need advice for their duties, then there should be a procedure for professional help at company's expense. Now this is very important. Now if, as we had discussed, that if suppose a director who is there in the board, he is not having that much of knowledge about a particular area in which the company is planning to start a new business. Now, at that particular time, there has to be a provision that if he wants to enhance his knowledge, how he can enhance his knowledge and who will be helping him to enhance his knowledge, and that too at company's expense. Suppose if he is attending a training program or he is going for a development program for that particular field, then it should be on the company's expenses. So it should be included in the policy of the company. Then it talks about the responsibilities of company secretary also. Now, company secretary, what he says is, his suggestion is that company secretary should ensure that company's activities are performed smoothly and in conformation with the provisions of the law. So it is the responsibility of the company secretary because he knows the rules, the laws very well. Because of that, he is there in the board of directors or he is there in the company. So these are some of the suggestions. Next important, I'll just take up the one or two more suggestions. Now, next suggestion, what he says is that yes, the board and auditor should maintain good professional relationship was one of the suggestion. That board and auditor should maintain good professional relationship. Now, this is regarded as one of the most important suggestion given by the Cadbury committee. Now, it says good professional relationship, not good relationship, good professional relationship. Now, the auditor's job is that he should be able to find out whether the accounting procedures or audit procedures or whatever the financial statements which are being placed before the board of director are correct or not. Is there any loopholes or is there any scope of improvement in that particular, in maintaining or recording these financial statements? So he should be of a such caliber that he should be able to bring it to the notice of the board of such loopholes in the financial statements. So that is why it says that good professional relationship, not good relationship. If good relationship is there between auditor and board of director, then what will happen? Even though the auditor will observe or even though he knows that there are certain problems in the financial statements which are being placed before the board, still he may not bring it to the board's attention because they enjoy a very good personal relationship. So it is not a case of personal relationship here, it is a case of good and sound professional relationship. And the last important suggestion given by Cadbury report was, what he said was there should be a full and clear disclosure of total emoluments. Emoluments means total package, total compensation, or total remuneration, pensions and stock options of executive directors and chairman of the board. That what will be their total remuneration including pensions, stock options, and other incentives or perquisites. Separate figures should be given for salary and performance related elements on the basis of which the performance will be measured should be explained. So it should not happen that the chairman of the board and the other board directors are given lakhs and crores of rupees without any measurement of their performance. There has to be a provision where the measurement of these people should be done. If they are not performing well for the benefit of the organization, then they should not remain in the board of directors. So that were the suggestions which were given by the first report, which was constituted under Adrian Cadbury. Now, the second very important report, before moving on to various reports which are suggested or which are constituted under Indian committees, particularly for the Indian organization. Before moving to that, we will take up one more important report, which is also called as OECD guidelines. Now, O stands for Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. So world over, this particular OECD, that means all over the world, the companies, all the countries of the world have joined in and formed, say, a group which is called as Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. In short, it is called as OECD. Now, OECD has published certain guidelines to carry out governance of the organization, and which are accepted and implemented by most of the countries which are part of OECD. Now, these guidelines these guidelines are called as general principles of corporate governance, which are accepted by most of the governments which are part of that particular group for improving the legal and regulatory framework of corporate governance in their particular country. Now, these guidelines, which were released in the year 2004, it says it provides guidelines related to the improvements in stock exchange, then risk in with investors and other parties that have role in the process of developing good corporate governance. It also has suggested that majority of independent directors should be appointed for better corporate governance. Independent directors should be appointed for good corporate governance. That was the suggestion of OECD. Apart from the directors who are having their personal stake involved in the company, apart from them, certain, or it says that majority should be independent. Independent means that the director who is present in the board but who doesn't have financial stake involved in the company, in the organization. So that is called as independent director. Its principle also emphasizes on the importance that the board should be able to exercise objective judgment on corporate affairs independently, in particular from management. So as we had in the last lecture, we had discussed corporate management and corporate governance. So what it says is there has to be a collaboration between the corporate board of directors and the company management, the management which is actually managing the day-to-day affairs of the company. So, and it has to be in objective manner. And the next suggestion given by, or next guideline given by this OECD was that board independence is therefore what it says is board independence is therefore generally accepted as requiring sufficient number of members who are not employed by the company or are not closely associated to the corporate and its management. So the main guideline of OECD focuses on the appointment of independent directors. If independent directors are there and who are experts in their field, they will be, it says, the guideline says that they will be in a better position to monitor whether the organization is going in the right direction or correct direction, and whether the board and the organization is following all the rules which are there in corporate, in company law or not. So these were these suggestions given by two very important committees. One is Cadbury Committee and the other one is OECD Committee. In the next lecture, we will be discussing about the main committees which were appointed by Government of India to suggest the government if any improvements can be done in the corporate governance, code of corporate governance. We will be discussing Kumar Mangalam Birla, which was constituted in 2000, year 2000. Then we will be discussing the Naresh Chandra Committee report, 2002. Then we will be discussing Narayan Murthy Committee, which was constituted in the year 2003. And then we will be discussing the J.J. Irani Committee, which was constituted in the year 2005. So four very important committee related to corporate governance, which were constituted by Government of India, and what their suggestions will be were, or what their recommendations were, that we will be discussing in our next lecture, right? So what you can do is just write it down, these four committees. You will find the information on Google related to the constitution or suggestions of these committees. Come prepared so that we can have a proper discussion that what were the suggestions of these committees. Now, most of these committees are headed by top industrialists of the country. Now, why the government gave this responsibility to industrialists only? The reason is very simple, because they have a first-hand knowledge about the problems which they are facing related to corporate governance. Suppose if they are facing one or two problems and they know the general business environment of the country, the policies of the country related to business, so they will be in a better position to come up with suggestion. That was the intention of the government of appointing eminent industrialist as the chairman of a particular committee. So Kumar Mangalam Birla, just please write it down. Kumar Mangalam Birla Committee, then J.J. Irani Committee, then Narayan Murthy Committee, and Naresh Chandra Committee. Four committees are considered as very important committee. Their suggestions are considered as very important when we talk about corporate governance in India. So that we will be discussing when we will be meeting next time. Then we will have a thorough discussion on that. So please come prepared so that you will be also in a better position to ask more and more questions. Today, I could not see any raised hand. I don't know why, but I could not observe any raised hand. So no question was asked. So now we are having only last, say, 4 minutes remaining. If you have any query related to today's discussion, please come up with that.
Hello, sir. Karan here.
Yes, Karan. Yes, Karan.
Actually, I wanted to just suggest that is it possible that can you send these 4 committees on WhatsApp group?
No, I will not. Now,
So
why I will not?
Can you repeat it again?
Just why later on? Like Karan.
Yes, sir.
The reason behind is that you should be doing some homework, and everything is available on internet. Now, if you just write the name Mangalam Birla Committee 2000 or Kumar Mangalam Birla committee. You will find all the information related to that particular committee. Now, why I am insisting on that is that one, that you should be doing some homework, and second is, if I will send you a PPT, you will be reading that only, and you will be confining yourself to that only. Suppose
What's the
if now
PPT I am saying?
students are involved, just let me complete. 43 students are involved now. If all the 43 students read this report, suppose one student has read it in a form of article, the other one has read it in a form of PDF, the other one has read it in the form of, say, Word file. So different authors have given these committee briefings, right? So everyone come prepared, then it may happen that I will be able to know some more suggestion which I have not till now. So that was the one reason why I'm saying that you surf Google and you try to come up with what were the suggestions which were given by these committees for corporate governance. That is the only reason. And later on, once my first chapter will be over, I will send you the notes as well as the PPT of chapter 1. Once we will complete chapter 2, I'll share you the notes and PPT of chapter 2. That is the procedure we will be doing that. Right? Yes, now Karan.
Just can you repeat all the four names again? Narayan Murthy, Kumar Mangalam Birla, later.
Naresh Chandra and JJ Irani. Naresh Chandra and JJ Irani.
Okay, sir.
Huh? Just come prepared.
Yes.
Because what will happen, I know say 5 suggestions only. So I will be able to know 6 suggestions also, which I may not know, which I'm not aware of now. That I may assume that I have got a PDF, right, which says that 5 suggestions were given by Kumar Mangalam Birla. You may come up with a document which says that it was not 5, but it were 8 suggestions were given by Kumar Mangalam. So we will be able to know, right? Yes, anything else? Last, I think 1 or 2 minutes are remaining. Mehul wants to ask.
What was the suggestion given by the Cadbury? The first suggestion.